All right, so Cursor, right. It's everywhere you look these days, and for good reason, it seems. If you're like me and constantly hitting refresh on the latest in AI and what it means for developers like you, well, this deep dive is for you. We're going to dig into what we've got on Cursor and why it has people calling it a workflow revolution, and most importantly, what's really going on under the hood.
I think Workflow Revolution is a great place to start, honestly. We see new AI tools popping up every day, right? But Cursor's different. It's not just another assistant. It really does feel like it could change how we approach coding from the ground up.
Absolutely, and one of the things they really hammered home in this article, how Cursor is transforming the developer's workflow, was just how much time we waste on the little things, like constantly bouncing back and forth between our editor and documentation and Stack Overflow. Ugh, don't even get me started on Stack Overflow.
Oh, tell me about it. And it's not just the time, right? Every time you have to switch gears like that, you lose focus, that flow state where the code just like writes itself, gone.
Poof.
Exactly. And that's what Cursor's trying to fix by, well, putting AI right there in your coding environment. No more context switching, no more wasted time, just pure coding bliss. In theory, at least.
Bliss, that's the dream.
Yeah.
And from what they describe, Cursor can actually pull it off, at least to some degree.
Yeah.
They're talking about generating code, refactoring, even smart suggestions, all without leaving your editor.
Which is huge. Imagine, you need to implement a really complicated sorting algorithm. Instead of spending hours on it, you just give Cursor a description, and boom, it writes the code for you. Optimized for your language, your framework, the whole 9 yards.
It'd be like having a second brain. Or a really, really smart pair of extra hands.
Right, and if it works as well as they say it does, think about what that means for things like onboarding new developers. What if, instead of throwing them into the deep end, they had an AI guide right there in their tools, helping them learn the ropes?
Now, that's a really intriguing thought. But, and I think this is important to bring up, we do have to talk about the elephant in the room with any AI, especially one that lives in our code base: data privacy.
Absolutely. We're talking about AI interacting with potentially very sensitive code, and that's a valid concern. It was good to see that they're at least aware of it. They mentioned using personal API keys to give users more control over their data, which is a good start.
For sure. But it does beg the question, how much control is enough?
Yeah.
As these AI coding tools become more powerful, we as developers need to be asking some really tough questions. Where's our data going? How secure is it really?
Couldn't agree more. And honestly, that's a conversation that goes way beyond just Cursor. As AI becomes more embedded in our workflows, we need to be really mindful of the trade-offs we're making.
Okay, so last thought here, and it's a big one. Let's say Cursor does deliver on everything it promises, and they address all these concerns. Could this be a fundamental shift in how we build software? Is AI-assisted coding about to go from a niche thing to just, like, the way things are done?
I think it's definitely a possibility, and one that comes with a whole new set of exciting questions, right? How does this impact the need for coding skills in the future? Does it lead to a new wave of software innovation? It's fascinating stuff.
Exactly, fascinating. And a little bit terrifying, if we're being honest. If you're listening to this, you're clearly as interested in this stuff as we are. So consider this your jumping off point. Go out there, experiment with Cursor, and see where it takes you. We just scratched the surface here. There's a whole lot more to uncover. And who knows, maybe we'll revisit this in a future deep dive as things develop. Thanks for listening.